We're going to continue today with more information about the semiotics and the semiology theory that we're studying today at this semester. So let's start off with an art history lesson. The painting Treachery of Images by René Magritte. He was a Belgium back in the mid-century era, whenever the Surrealism works were really very popular. Anyway, he painted a pipe very realistically and wrote in French, "This is not a pipe," which is a kind of a paradox. It's considered a masterpiece, a key surrealistic work, and an icon of modern art. It's the impossibility of reconciling word, image, and object. It challenges the convention of identifying an image of an object as the thing itself. It was presented in the style of an advertisement with a neat cursive text forming a slogan-like caption under the image of the pipe. The painting prompts the viewer to ponder its conflicting messages. I know that's a lot of art speak, but it does signify the signifier and the signified. So um, very representative of the paradox of semiology. It's an icon is not the actual object, but a substitute. It's a placeholder. It also influenced the world of biology. It also influenced the world of biology. Thomas A. Seebock, who was an American, founded the field of biosemetics. He studied non-human and cross-species signaling and communication. He said the phenomenon that distinguishes life forms from inanimate objects is semiotics. This was a real leap from what Saussure and Peirce and their intentional systems began back in the 19th century. So Seebock studied natural communication, gesture language, sign language of native tribes and the hearing impaired. Biosemosis is the language between humans and animals, and this is what he studied a great deal. And global semiotics unifies all the sciences with communication and logic. And so speech was an adaptation that was strictly human. So he also said that the human mind shifts from one mode to another in the sign network, choosing each the interpretive path considered most suitable. Okay, before we move on, I want to tell you about something that Seebock did. Back in the early 1980s, he was a part of a team of nuclear physicists, linguists, and engineers and psychologists, and some other people who were appointed by the Nuclear Regulatory Commission to devise warning signs for the burial sites of radioactive garbage. You know, we hear all the time about radioactive dumps and that sort of thing. They wanted to make some signs, a system of signs. The mandate was that the signs must survive the inevitable evolution of language for 10,000 years, because that's the expected duration of the radiation danger. So Seebock proposed a three-pronged system, beginning with the posting of durable danger markers or signs containing the words and cartoon pictures. Secondly, he suggested sites should be inspected every century and posted warning updates in the current vernacular. But it was his third suggestion that attracted most attention, even some ridicule. He said there needed to be an atomic priesthood of scientists, and scholars, with new ones appointed to replace those who had died, should pass along myths of evil spirits akin to the curse of the pharaohs to thwart trespassing by any human unable to read. Wow. So business, like government, was interested in Seebock's work. When his collections, A Sign of Essays, A Sign Was Just a Sign, was published in 1991, the American Marketing Association Journal of Marketing urged members to read that difficult book because wrote one reviewer. The book's new and exciting ideas about communication stretch the mind and offer a stimulating and satisfying mental acrobat workout. On a practical level, Seebach's ideas also have provocative implications for marketing theory and practice. So, can animals lie? Seebach acknowledged that certain animals, including some zoo animals and pets, can engage in intentional deception towards humans. He distinguishes this behavior from general falsehoods. Animals may engage in deception without necessarily understanding the concept of lying in the human sense. Animals can respond to subtle cues from their trainers, appearing to perform complex tasks when they're actually responding to unintentional signals. Seebach notes a variety of deceptive behaviors in animals, encompassing what is referred to as sign forgery, mimicry, misdirection, and misinformation displays. He suggested that while animals exhibit various forms of deceptive behavior, including potentially intentional acts, the question of whether they truly lie in the same complex, conscious, and deliberate way that humans do remains a subject of ongoing investigation and debate in the field of animal communication studies. So, can they lie? Um, the jury's out, but I'm leaning towards yes. In Seebach's book, I Think I'm a Verb, a colleague tells a story about from the field. He was out in the field living in a tent. He told a story about a red fox who visited his tent daily to steal morsels of cheese. One day, the man was near her den and saw she had several kits, which are baby foxes. He threw some small bits of her favorite cheese near the opening of the den, and of course her kids just pounced on it and started eating, but the mother fox, started making high-pitched sounds to scare them away from the cheese, warning them away from the cheese, like that's dangerous. One especially feisty baby continued to eat while turning his rear towards the mother and urinating in her general direction. She immediately jumped on him and made her point, and he dropped the cheese. After all the kids were inside the den, she turned and ate all of the cheese. She lied to them about the cheese. It only took a few cheese sessions until the kids were wise to her lies. So that kind of sums up my thoughts. Animals can lie if it's to their benefit. So here is your participation point time. I want you to answer the question, who performed What Does the Fox Say? And here's the link for the video. If you Google What Does the Fox Say, you will get several videos. And I want you to answer and put in the appropriate place in Canvas the answer that you came up with. Remember, you get 5 points towards your participation grade. All right, so back to Seebach. He was a jack of all trades. He was a linguist, cultural anthropologist, he was into psychology, artificial intelligence, zoology, ethnology, biology, medicine, robotics, mathematics, philosophy, literature, narratology, I can't even say that one, and so forth. So he was quite a busy guy. However, there was one answer that he never got to. Does semiotics exist elsewhere in our galaxy, in deep space? I think so. Do you? Next up, we are going to talk about the history of communication. It's basically the history of semiotics and semiology, but I'm going to call it communication for our purposes.